Hello and welcome. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about the insulation job. And I'm also going to tell you the pricing for this. So here, what you see me put up is the first piece that it doesn't have to be cut, but you have to put about half of it behind the cables. If you don't do that, you're creating pockets in the back. So I'm going to give you some advice, I guess, a little bit, because I actually like doing this, believe it or not. So the right way to do it is put it behind the cables, so you're not creating any pockets of inefficiency. And you're going to basically just rip it halfway, put half of it behind the cables, and then the other half, it goes on top of the cable. Depends if you have 2x4 walls or 2x6 walls. The receptacle that you just saw me cut out over there, if you have room, you want to put insulation behind it. And you just see me there showing you how to put the insulation, kind of a half and half in the back and half in front. And basically anywhere you see the cables there where electrician ran the cables, that's what you want to do. And this is how you make your house basically more efficient, because you have insulation throughout the whole cavity of the framing there. And that's pretty much textbook if you look at the manufacturer's suggested installation. So it rained, and the funny thing with me is when I see stuff like this, I usually get a headache. And sure enough, I got a headache about 30 minutes into this whole rain situation. But that's just, that's just what I gotta live with. So anyway, so this is what I'm doing here. It might be a little bit weird. I originally wanted to put that on the exterior wall to the right, but my building inspector was kind of cautious, and he said, I don't want you to do that because I don't want any kind of moisture condensation to develop there. And so I decided, instead of returning it to the store, I'm just gonna put it on the exterior wall right here. So that the lady that bought the house, because this thing already sold a while back, she'll have a nice and efficient house, and also it'll be quiet because this will serve as a sound barrier, I guess, to the living room area. And that wall will also be insulated, because I like to insulate my interior walls as well. So that's, once again, that's going above the building code, but that's just how I like to do things. I always do. Every single house I build, I always put something extra in it. Somewhere, something extra, just for efficiency and just a little bit better quality than your standard house. So see, that's just all it is, and that is very simple to do. And these things are super light. They're about $8 a piece if you're curious. And these are a little bit more expensive, what I'm cutting open right here. And that's going to be the R38 that I'm going to be putting in ceilings and also in the rafters. I always get a kick out of this. So these guys are about 2 feet by 4 feet. Not quite, but close enough. And sorry about the angle here, but I messed up on the angle, so you're not going to see me right now put it up, but you'll see it towards the end of the video when I give you the final tour, the walkthrough of how this job turned out. That's basically what it is. Just get yourself a nice little step ladder, something comfortable you can walk up and down on, and just push it up there and staple it in there. This is kind of behind the scenes, how everything is coming together. It's a big mess before I clean everything up. You see the baffles right there in the middle. That's gonna go in the rafters right here. I'll show you that in a second, but now I just want to show you the gable. You gotta cut the corner a little bit. Usually if you're cutting insulation, if it's a standard 16 inches on center that you're dealing with, those pieces are cut by the manufacturer to that size. But if you gotta shrink them, you gotta cut them. Usually what I do, to give you an example, if the opening, for example, is 12 inches, I always cut it 1 inch bigger. So you want a nice snug fit in there. You don't want your insulation to be too short, because then you're not going to get the R value, the efficiency out of the insulation. So cut it 1 inch longer or 1 inch left to right. So that's usually what I do, and that's my little tip, I guess, what I've learned by doing this a bunch of times. And I've also done that a bunch of times, where I put my stapler resting on the top plate, and I put the insulation up, and then I can't find my stapler. So that happens, but that's just how it is. And that's just all this is. Just cut it to size, oversize a little bit if you have to, by that inch that I'm talking about, and then just put a bunch of staples in it. It's no right or wrong way of, putting staples in. If you want to put 10 or 20 in there, go at it. It's not an issue. And then just adjust everything so it looks good. And when I tapped the rafter over there, usually that's what I try to do, kind of to give myself an orientation what I'm doing and where I am, so I don't bump my head, and just to watch myself. Same thing with my feet. You gotta walk a certain way and just pay attention to what you're doing so you don't step off the scaffolding, because as you can see, this thing moves left to right. But see, you saw me split that again, just like the other one on the bottom, and then just adjust it, make it look good, and just put it in there. That's what you want to do with all the cables. I've seen plenty of jobs, even on my construction site, when I hired people. This was not done, so I had to correct it. One guy, flat out, when I confronted him about the job, he just quit. He didn't even finish, walked off the job. I don't want to talk about that. It's just interesting. So I fixed his issue. He walked off the job. But that happens in construction. There's a lot of ego in construction. I'm a soft-spoken guy. I do things a little bit differently. And I'm a little bit of an idiot as well. I should have been probably joined the circus. But, this is fun to me. And some people just treat it as a job. And I look at this as a little bit more than a job. But, I've come across those guys. They act tough, but they're not. But anyway, so this is the baffles that you're putting up there. That's the air pockets, because you want your air to move from the overhang to the ridge. And this is any kind of moisture condensation, any kind of funny business with, gets a chance to evaporate. And this is what I mean when I talk about my homes, how I like them to breathe. And this is basically what I do. And once again, this is code here. And I would strongly recommend you do that if you're building anything, even without a code. It just gives your roof the ability to breathe, so it doesn't, that OSB that's on top of it, it doesn't rot on you. It has a chance to dry out and everything, because obviously you have a roof on the other side of that. You've got shingles. And once again, just go crazy with the staples. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be too pretty, as long as those air pockets are continuous from the overhang to the ridge. And as you can see, that is very light, so it's not very hard to do. So this is construction. I love doing stuff like this. I have some other things planned for the future of the channel where I'm gonna be a little bit more involved, but I just want to finish this project, and then we'll see what other projects I have planned. But every single one of you guys can do this. Just take your time, and you can do that. This is not rocket science. If my dumb self can do it, you can do it. And see this, that's the R38. Some of them are more squished than others, but they eventually come to their natural thickness, I guess. And you just gotta put them in there and just make it nice and neat. If you got any kind of OCD tendencies like I do, you're going to be adjusting stuff all the time. And once again, staple it. This one's on the thinner side. It's all the same stuff, but like I said, it'll come to its natural form, I guess. And see, it just fits right in there. It even sits there without staples, but you definitely want to staple that. You can do friction fit with certain insulation, but I like to staple mine. That doesn't take that much longer, and it's not that bad. See, that one's a lot thicker than the other piece. And that's why you gotta wear a mask with this stuff. This is fiberglass. You do not want to breathe this stuff in. Definitely. And wear long sleeves and pants so you don't itch like crazy. You can put the baby powder. Oh, look at that. This is me testing if what I built up there is gonna hold my ceiling fan. And this is spray foam around the windows, so my windows are nice and efficient and they're not drafty. Make sure when you do this, you buy the one that is made for windows and doors, because they have a couple other ones, and if you buy the wrong one, it'll expand too much on you and you'll have trouble opening and closing your windows and doors. So buy the ones for windows and doors. A little bit advice, I guess. This is caulking the bottom plates. I like to do that as well, even though I don't have to. This is once again not code, but any kind of air. This creates a nice barrier so air doesn't get into the house through there. And also any kind of critters, they'll have a hard time, spiders or ants or anything kind of going through it. And this is the finished product of the insulation. It took me about 4 days to do it, between the headaches that I had and everything. If you do this yourself, or maybe you have a helper, you can easily do a size of this house of this size in 1 or 2 days. But like I said, it took me 4 days, but it's no big deal. This is where I used all my scraps. You see this hodgepodge of a wall right here? That is all my scraps. R38, R15, little pieces. I don't like to waste anything. And why would I throw it away if I can actually use it? So the bottom, like I said, it didn't have to be insulated, but I did it. That's the bedroom on the other side. This is the bathroom right here on your right side. That's fully insulated from that side. I just put little bracing. Once again, I had leftovers, so I put it to good use around the doors. We're panning to the attic. That's how you're gonna get into the attic. That's the R38 insulation that you can see. So see, don't throw away your scraps. Put them somewhere. This, when you open and this door, when you close it and aggressively, it'll have a nice solid thud to it. Because you got, you got reinforcement on the side of it, and you got insulation for sound deadening. This is what I did for the drywallers. I marked where the studs are. I always try to think of the people who are working behind me, so I try not to be selfish, and I try to think of who's going to be working behind me so I can make their job a little bit easier. And that's just who I am as a human being, and that's just how I do things. So that's why I marked the stud locations for the guys so they know where to screw into. See, there's my electrical panel. Nice, clean, and simple. See, you don't have to spend $1 million to build yourself a nice little house. You can have a very nice affordable house and on a budget. And that's the insulated bathroom I was pointing to. So the walls, $300, and then the ceiling, rafters, about $1,000 in insulation. And obviously labor was my own. Walk-in shower, that's $400 if you're curious. That's a seat. So you can put a shower curtain or you can put a door on it. I gave the lady something to nail into. And there is insulation behind the tub and a vapor barrier. That's code around here as well. That wall, left, a stackable washer dryer. Right side will have a water heater. And this is the master bedroom. See, so that's the 1/2 inch of the board and insulation on the other side. So that's where she's going to put the head of her bed. I was thinking somebody would put it right there on the right side, but she wants it a little bit differently. So she doesn't have to listen to her refrigerator because now she's got a bunch of insulation there. And that's the little closet. House turned out great. For the floor plan, I mean, I designed my own stuff and there's not much wasted space. This is the hallway I'm in right now. That's pretty much the only wasted space, I guess. That's the other bathroom. That's the toilet right there in the middle, vanity to the left, and this one has a bathtub. So you got kids, you got dogs, or you want to take a bath, you can take a bath in this one. And see, that's fully insulated for privacy. Shower head right there on top. This thing here, there's a story here with the HVAC people, but I'm just gonna leave that alone. I'll let them see how they're gonna finish this job. But so far I wasn't impressed. There's, like I said, I'll keep you guys updated how that turns out. See, that's the flat part of the house. Flat ceilings. The front obviously has vaults. That window is a 4040, which is 4 feet by 4 feet. Not bad. Not bad for a small house. I would have no issue living in a house like this. Even the little bathroom has a window so you can vent it. So there you go. That's the episode. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.